Yo, what is up YouTube? It's your boy Legend and I'm back with another video. You already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. What if Naruto was the strongest Hashira part 3? Now I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. It's been about 3 weeks. I recently got my pain medication changed, and long story short, basically that pain medicine has been really affecting my body and basically kicking my ass. So it has me tired literally all the time, and the effects of the medication last for like a good 6 hours. But without further ado, let's just get into the intro so we can start this what if.
The Tale of Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, that has a nice ring to it.
Naruto woke up as the sunlight spilled through the curtains of his bedroom. He felt groggy and tired, but also heavier. He tried to sit up, but couldn't due to the added weight on top of him. He looked down and blushed heavily to see a naked Yuri laying on top of him, the bed sheets only halfway on her body. He remembered the night before, and he blushed even more. He didn't know what to do in a situation like this, since this was his very first time in said situation. Naruto continued to stare down at the beautiful woman who lay on top of him, asleep, before he eventually smiled. He wasn't used to things like this, but if it was going to be with someone like Yuri, he could get used to things like this. He liked her, he found her very pretty, and she seemingly liked him. So he wasn't against starting some type of working relationship with her, whether it be close friends or lovers. He moved his arms and wrapped them around her waist and shifted a little so he could get comfortable in the bed as he closed his eyes and slowly went back to sleep. But little did Naruto know that Yuri had already claimed him as hers and hers alone, and she didn't plan to share him nor let him leave her. He was hers, and she was his. Later that day, both Naruto and Yuri were out, helping Yuri move all of her belongings into his place. Naruto was constantly using Sage Mode, so the process would go faster. Naruto didn't know how, but she had suckered and manipulated him into agreeing with her. Damn him for being a virgin until last night. But he had no problem with it. When the two of them were done, Naruto left Sage Mode and fell to one knee on the floor of the living room. Yuri knelt down next to him, trying to see if he was okay, worry evident on her face. "Don't worry about me. I'm fine." Naruto slowly stood, trying to block out the burning pain caused by the seal that was placed onto him. He wiped the minuscule amount of sweat off of his brow as Yuri stood next to him, her breast engulfing his arm and her hand resting on his chest. "Are you sure you're okay?" Naruto grinned. "Of course I am. It's just a slight annoyance that I have to put up with." Yuri looked up at Naruto for a moment before she gave him a fake smile and a kiss on the cheek. "Okay, just make sure you sit down and rest. I'll make you something to eat and replenish your energy." Naruto looked at her. He was surprised. The only people who bothered to cook for him were the two ramen shop owners back in Konoha, and that was only because he was constantly ordering ramen from them. So the idea of Yuri cooking for him was completely foreign to him. But little did the two of them know that the same man that was hitting on Yuri and her friends at the club saw the two of them today, and he was extremely jealous and greedy as an individual. Meanwhile, off in the distance, Tanjiro was hunched over, gasping for air. His teacher, Master Kodaki, had just jabbed him hard in the stomach after telling him to control his breathing. To Tanjiro, that meant to take slow and measured deep breaths, but obviously that wasn't what Yurikodaki meant. Tanjiro slowly stood, trying to catch his breath as he listened to his master tell him on how he should regulate his breathing in certain ways, and how sometimes he could have to alter his breathing slightly to make up for any unknown variables that present themselves. After all, Tanjiro was being trained to slay demons, creatures with endless stamina. After the explanation, Tanjiro was told to run up and through a mountain and forest, all while controlling his breathing. Back with Naruto, he lay on the sofa with Yuri cuddled up next to him as she hand-fed him some sushi. Naruto was blushing beet red, and Yuri giggled at the sight of him. The both of them were unaware of the man glaring at the two of them through the living room window. Meanwhile, off in the distance with Kagaya, in the grand mansion, he stood up with the support of his wife, Amane, who held a certain concerned look on her face. Amane, go send for Morichiro and Matsuri. I want the three of you to accompany me somewhere. I just have this feeling. It's almost the same feeling I got when I met Kiyome, but this one is far greater. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I'm leaning toward the former. Amane nodded as she sent out a meeting request with herself, her husband, Moichiro, and Matsuri. Time skip. It's been a month, and Naruto and his girlfriend Yuri were still going strong. To Naruto, she was the ideal girlfriend and would make a good wife. She could cook, clean, bake. She was caring, just a tad bit crazy, was able to keep him in line. She stayed within her feminine energy, and she never punished him by saying no sex. Naruto himself was happy. She made him forget some of his past life. He forgot how the villagers used to treat him because she always showed him love. He forgot how the people closest to him betrayed him because she was always by his side. And he forgot to constantly put up his emotional barriers because she always broke them down and showed him that he didn't need them anymore. Naruto walked up behind said woman who was in the kitchen, butterfly cutting some chicken in preparation for dinner. Later that night, he wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her on the cheek. I'm gonna go on a 60-mile run. Do you need me to get anything on my way back? Yuri turned and wrapped her arms around his neck. How about a ring so I can officially become Yuri Namikaze? Naruto blushed at the obvious admission and underlying meaning of the statement. Maybe later. Yuri laughed at him as he started to walk away. Make sure you light the wisteria pots before you go. I'm not trying to step outside past 5:30. Naruto gave a nod to show that he had heard her as he stepped out of the sliding front door and lit the wisteria pots that were on his front porch. Naruto then took off in a jog as the smell of wisteria soon seeped into the house, signaling that he did what was asked of him. Naruto quickly jogged to the outskirts of the town and eventually jogged into the forest where he felt most at home in terms of being outside. Naruto continued to jog, and the pain of exerting chakra through vigorous movements with his seal now hurt far less. But back at Naruto's home, the same jealous man that was so fixated and obsessed with Yuri and her friends was now snooping around Naruto's home. He looked through each window. So far, all he saw was Yuri, but not the blonde bastard that stole her from him. The man grinned, and he started making his way toward the sliding front door. He was going to abduct Yuri and make her his. Before he could make it to the door, though, he noticed something that froze him in his place. It was a leaf Hittite. The sight of that was frightening to him. He visited the elemental nation before a few years back and that visit forced him to cut his vacation short. That continent wasn't normal. The shit they could do, they were basically demons that could walk in the sun. Someone shouldn't be able to look at you and you have a brain aneurysm just from that look. People shouldn't be able to blow fire from their mouths nor spit out as much water that it could fill a lake. Said man grit his teeth and clenched his fists in anger. He won't be able to do what he had planned to do. If he did, the blonde would track him down and slaughter him without hesitation. The man threw a silent tantrum as he flailed his arms and fists around in anger. In a fit of rage, he picked up the wisteria pots and threw them all the way down the street. The man then walked away. And as he walked, he then realized what he had did and grinned evilly. If he couldn't have the bitch, then nobody could. It took Yuri an entire 25 minutes to realize that something was off. And she only noticed because she couldn't smell the wisteria anymore. And her Naruto wasn't back home yet. Yuri sighed in frustration as she went outside to relight the wisteria pots. It was currently 6:05, and the sun had just finished setting. But if she just did it fast, she would be fine. She walked onto the porch with some matches, but went pale when she couldn't find the wisteria pots anywhere. She looked on the mantle, by the door, under the rocking chair, in the yard, but the wisteria pots were nowhere to be found. Yuri started to panic as she ran back into the house. She had to pray that she would remain safe. She didn't have any spare wisteria pots, so if a demon wanted to, it could walk right in. She was terrified. She had no way of contacting Naruto, so she did the next best thing. She hid in their bedroom. She was shaking. She could hear her teeth chattering against each other. Where the hell was the wisteria pots? Why weren't they in their proper place? She knew Naruto had lit them because she was able to smell them. So why? Her thought process then halted as she heard the sliding front door slowly open, along with the sound of hard animal-like sniffing. She then heard a ragged and deep voice that was not Naruto.
No wisteria. It's like you're begging on your knees to let the demons in. Well, message received.
Yuri covered her mouth as tears started to blur her vision. She didn't want to die. All she could do was hide. She wasn't a fighter. She couldn't even defend herself. If she was found, she would be screwed. She covered her mouth to stifle any sound that she would make as she heard the slow footsteps of the demon getting closer. With each small thud, it felt as though her heart would explode. She then heard the sliding door to the bedroom slowly open, followed by another animal-like sniff.
I can smell you. The fear in the air is palpable.
The demon turned its head in the direction where Yuri was hiding as a manic grin split his face.
Found you.
Meanwhile, Naruto was on his way back home as he jogged through the streets. He wasn't that far from his house, only being down the street. After a short time, he arrived at his front porch, immediately taking notice of the missing wisteria pots and the open door. He could hear the sound of chomping, snarling, and flesh tearing, and he stormed into the house. He made his way all the way to the bedroom and froze. The sight of his girlfriend being pinned down, her body limp, chunks of flesh missing from her legs, arms, and chest, her breathing faint and blood caking her body and clothes, with the demon above her. His black wiry-like hair shaded his face as he took bite after bite out of Yuri. A wave of rage and malice swept through Naruto as he clenched his fist so hard that his palms began to bleed. Let her go. The demon stopped as he felt a change in the atmosphere as he turned to see Naruto, his eyes glowing a dark orange color and an expression of rage on his face. The demon chose to not listen as he slightly dragged Yuri as he turned to get a better look at Naruto. I said, let her go! Naruto lunged at the demon with inhuman-like speed as his fist slammed into the demon's face, part of his skull breaking from the pressure. The demon slammed into the wall and broke through it, landing in the living room area. Naruto stalked up to it, taking notice of the demon's eye that had the kanji for a lower rank 2 on it. Naruto appeared in front of the demon in a blink of an eye as he punched a hole through his chest, causing the lower rank 2 demon to howl out in pain and confusion. Lower rank 2 wasn't able to heal, and he didn't know why. And he felt something that he hadn't felt in a long time. Fear. Lower rank 2 stumbled back. Naruto didn't let up as he slammed lower rank 2 into the wall, ripping out his eye. This seems important, Naruto said with a sneer before he grabbed his head and crushed it with his bare hands. Naruto glared down at the body before he went back to be with his girlfriend Yuri. He kneeled next to her as he played with her hair, putting her head into his lap as a tear fell from his eye and landed onto her face. Yuri weakly raised a hand and wiped his tears away. You're not the one dying, so crying is my job. Yuri tried to laugh, but it hurt to do so. Naruto wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Yuri sensed this and spoke. I don't expect you to say anything. I'm just glad you killed that thing. Naruto reached and held her hand as tears continued to fall from his eyes, and soon she eventually died. Her eyes lost their color and became lifeless, and her body going cold. The entire time Naruto held her, he also held the eye of the demon, keeping it clenched in his fists. Eventually the police showed up at Naruto's home due to all of the screams, and Naruto was arrested. There was no story of a demon eating a woman. The story was Naruto caught his girlfriend cheating in the act, and he ended up killing both her and her lover. Naruto was taken into the station that night and placed into his own cell. Blood on his hands, arms, face, and clothes. A look of sorrow on his face as he stared at the hardwood floor of the cell. However, the very same night Naruto was arrested, Kagaya, Matsui, and Mitsuru all got wind of the so-called double homicide case. The part that stood out to them was the description of the female body in the reports. It said that chunks of flesh were torn from the woman. To them, that was a dead giveaway of what really happened versus what the police said had happened. Now, they were on their way to the station to go and grant this individual an opportunity. Kagaya put a hand on the two Hashira's shoulders as he spoke. Muichiro, Matsuri, let me start off with the talking when we arrive. His case is similar to Guillaume's. Meanwhile, Naruto continued to stare down at the floor of his cell, tears flowing freely down his face. The images of Yuri's body after the demon got to her continued to flash through his mind, along with the image of her dying in his arms. Naruto shut his eyes to blink back the tears, and then he heard the bars of the cell open. The three of you got 5 minutes with them. Naruto looked up to see a police officer walking away, 3 other people walking into the cell. there was a somewhat tall man with pale eyes, with the top half of his face looking like some kind of poison or acid was exposed to it. The second person was a boy who looked to be in his teens. He looked up into the sky as if he were looking at something. His hair was long and black, and it looked as though he was on cloud 9, to be honest. The last person was a woman with a bubbly personality. She had pink hair that had tinges of green to it, a pretty face, and an impressive bosom. Pleasure meeting you, Namikaze-san. Care to talk for a while? Naruto turned his gaze back to the tall man and wiped his tears before nodding. Kagaya smiled. Good. Now, I'll just start off by saying, I know it wasn't a double homicide. I know that this was a demon that got into your home and killed your girlfriend. However, law enforcement don't believe in demons coming that close to populated areas like that due to the wisteria pots people use. Naruto just looked at the man. What was he getting at? He didn't know. Kagaya continued to speak. I also know that you killed said demon in a rather unique way. You apparently beat it to death with your bare hands. But that's somewhat hard to believe, and here's why. Demons can only be killed by wisteria poison, decapitation with a Nichiren blade, and sunlight. However, there was one person that beat a demon to death. However, he beat said demon until the sun rose. But you didn't. So, were your hands coated in wisteria or something? Naruto looked Kagaya in the eyes before he spoke. What's your name? You seem to know me, but I don't know any of you. Kagaya chuckled and gave their names, and Naruto finally answered. I use Senjutsu. It's an ability of mine that gives me a boost of strength, speed, and agility, and in short, it is the ability to use nature energy as a power-up. So I beat the demon to death with the power, and then I took its eye. Kagaya and Muichiro rose an eyebrow at this, and this time Muichiro spoke. What made you take the eye of the demon? Naruto looked over at Muichiro, and then he extended his hand and unclenched his fist to show them the eye that he had snatched from the demon. The three of them looked at the eye before they all went wide-eyed. The writing on the eye said lower rank 2. When Kagaya saw that, it only reassured his decision to get Naruto out of this predicament and bring him into the Demon Slayer Corps. But guys, I'm going to end it off right there. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe while you're at it. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm really asking you guys because we are only a short amount of subscribers away. I think we are 6 subscribers away from 1,000 subs, and then once we hit 1K subs, I'm dropping the 1K special. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see that, guys. But without further ado, I'm out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.